Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my first episode of the Grow Through It podcast. My name is Julia, and I'm so excited to go on this journey with you and share what I'm most passionate about. For this episode, I first want to share a bit about me and why I started this podcast, and then I will get into my story of how I changed my life and how you can too. Over my lifetime, I have gone through many traumas and learned many lessons through those traumas and through other experiences. I have gone through several friendship breakups. I ended a 10-year relationship to someone I was engaged to, been bullied all throughout school. I'm currently dealing with my dad's cancer returning. And on a more positive note, I have lost over 40 pounds in the last few years. I've had multiple career changes, and I am now in the most healthy relationship with the most amazing man I've ever met. I've definitely had my ups and downs, but I really want to share what I have learned from this in hopes that it can help someone going through similar things or help someone leave a situation that they're not happy with. This podcast will cover a lot of different topics, so I encourage you to take what you want and leave what you don't. Some topics won't be for everybody, but there will always be something for everyone. If you have any feedback or topic suggestions, please feel free to send me a message on Instagram at growthroughit.pod. All right, let's get into today's topic. My life a few years ago compared to now are drastically different. A few years ago, I was in an extremely unhealthy and toxic relationship. I hated myself. I was very overweight. I was depressed and had frequent anxiety attacks, and I had no idea who I was. I had zero self-esteem and self-worth, and I thought that's just how it was going to be forever. I would constantly fantasize about a different life, but I never thought it was actually possible. How could someone like me be successful? How could someone like me be happy? How could anyone else love me? I was so lost and at my absolute lowest point. I would hear about how guys treated their partners and how sweet they were and supportive. I always wondered if that was real, but I'd often roll my eyes and think, no, that's just in movies, or that's fake. There's no way there's guys like that are out there. Looking back now, it really breaks my heart to know that's how I felt, and I know a lot of other people feel the same way. I slowly changed a few things in my life and started working on me, but nothing drastically changed until I hit my breaking point. I left my 10-year relationship after a therapy session when I realized I did not want to be with him. There were a few other things that happened before this therapy session that also contributed, but we don't need to get into that right now. Leaving was extremely difficult for me because I felt so stuck. I had thought about leaving for years, but I was in a different province from my family. Most of my friends were his friends, and we were engaged. We actually planned the whole wedding. We paid deposits on vendors. I bought my wedding dress. We sent save the dates. Everything was planned. Luckily for me, COVID caused us to postpone our wedding twice. I later realized it wasn't fully COVID that caused me to want to postpone, but deep down, it was because I didn't want to go through with it. When I went into therapy that day, she asked if we had gotten married, and it seemed like she already knew the answer. I said no, and she asked why. I started explaining that there was just too many restrictions still, and she stopped me and asked why again. I didn't even think about the answer, and I just blurted out, because I don't want to marry him. I hadn't even admitted that to myself at that point, so I was really shocked that that came out of my mouth. The rest of the session was a blur because I was so shocked that I actually admitted this, not only to myself, but to someone else. And when I left that session, I knew I had to leave him, and it was absolutely terrifying. If I left, that would mean I lost everything. My comfort, my home, one of my dogs, my friends, everything that I was used to for the last 10 years. It was basically all I'd ever known because we had been together since I was 14 years old. I was literally a child when we first got together, so he was really all I'd ever known. Leaving him was like an out-of-body experience. I left my therapy session, called my friend, and told her to come over and help me pack. My ex was working out of town at the time, so she slept over and we packed all my things first thing in the morning. It honestly didn't even feel like I was controlling my body. I was just packing and completely numb. I don't even think I comprehended what was happening. All I knew was I needed to pack all my things before he got home because I don't think I would have been strong enough at the time to commit to leaving had I not packed the boxes. I was worried he would convince me to stay, but if I had already had everything packed up, it would be much easier to leave. He knew something was up and came home early, which was the worst outcome. I had planned on getting all my stuff out before he got back, but I didn't get that far because he was already on his way home. So I just had all my boxes packed up. I remember sitting on the couch waiting for him to get there and see that everything was packed up. It was the most terrifying thing I had ever done. I was filled with anxiety and I was just shaking. I didn't know how he would react. I didn't even really have a plan for what I was going to do. It ended up going surprisingly well, and I went to stay on my friend's couch for a couple weeks until I found my own place. Meanwhile, I had to leave my 2 dogs with him, which was absolutely heartbreaking. Once I found my own place, I took one of my dogs. As we agreed, I would take mine and he would take his if we ever broke up. And I felt at peace for the first time in a very long time, if ever. Although I was still scared and participating in self-destructive behaviors, it was still better than living a life that I was so unhappy with. If you've never been in a toxic relationship before, you're probably thinking that I'm crazy for staying that long. But when you're in something like that, it's really hard to see it for what it actually is. I didn't even realize how bad it was until I got out of it. I just knew I was not happy. If you've been questioning your relationship or you fantasize about a different life like I did, I will be doing an episode on this, so make sure to listen to that. Now, this topic is not to bash him, and I'm not talking about that relationship for no reason. I'm telling this story because this breakup changed everything for me, and it's why I'm so passionate about talking about relationships. I've had friends in similar situations, or I know people that are unhappy with their partner, and they stay because it's comfortable. It's all they've ever known. They might live together or have kids together, and although I understand that that complicates things, it is never too late to leave. Lots of people would have thought it was too late for me to leave since we were engaged and basically grew up together. People actually said to me when I broke up with him, "Are you sure this is the right decision? You guys live together and have built a life together." But it was not too late. Even if I was in my 60s or 70s, it would never be too late. Why would I stay in something that made me so miserable and gave me constant anxiety attacks? Why would I stay with someone who didn't respect me? You are always allowed to change your mind, you're always allowed to follow your passions and dreams, and you're allowed to want more for your life. And this goes for every area of your life, not just your romantic relationship. Maybe you're unhappy with your friend group, your job, your health, your family. You need to decide if you want to live the rest of your life feeling unhappy or if you want to do the hard things and change your circumstances. I promise you, even though it's insanely hard and feels impossible, you will feel so much better once you've made that change. I cannot even begin to imagine where I would be today if I had stayed. Not only stayed in that toxic relationship, but also stayed in the jobs I hated and the friendships that made me feel small. I had really awful friendships throughout my life. My best friends would make fun of me constantly. They would not support my dreams. They would talk badly about me behind my back. Those are just not real friends. Leaving those things, although again, it was really hard, made me so much stronger. At the time, I did not think I was brave for leaving. I just wanted out. I was so numb, I didn't really feel anything. It's taken me a while to believe this, but now I know I was brave for leaving, and it's made me realize how much I am capable of. I am capable of changing the whole trajectory of my life, and so are you. So, how can you change your life too? For me, it was extremely helpful to have my therapist and best friend by my side. So, if you have people you can truly trust and who are supportive of you, you need to lean on them. If not, just know that you're fully capable of doing it on your own. It may feel lonely and scary, but you are strong enough to do it, even if it doesn't feel like it. Borrow my belief in you if you don't believe in yourself. Also, if you don't have people to lean on, that should probably indicate to you that it's time for a change. Having supportive people in your life is so incredibly important. Find what works for you to understand your feelings. This may be going on a walk and listening to your thoughts, asking yourself questions. It may be journaling, seeing a trusted therapist, or meditating. I would encourage you to ask yourself if that relationship, that friendship, that job, or whatever it is truly makes you happy and fulfilled. Ask yourself, could you live the rest of your life doing that and die happy with no regrets? You may have excuses come up when you do this. Well, what would I even do if I didn't do this career? I went to school for this. Isn't it a waste? We're already married. It's too late. I'm here to tell you that is fear talking. If you know you would regret not taking a chance on your dream or regret staying with that person who makes you feel bad about yourself, then you need to change your circumstances. Like I said, leaving was absolutely terrifying, but I am the happiest I've ever been now, and I don't even think about that anymore. Your fear won't matter in a few months or a year down the road once you make that change. You'll actually wish you had done it sooner. If you want to change your career path, figure out what you're passionate about and work towards that. You may still have to work somewhere you're not super stoked about until you're able to pursue what you truly want, but that's okay. That being said, if it's a toxic environment that impacts your well-being, leave right away if possible. Even if it means working at a job you don't love for a while, but that is a healthy environment for you. Life is way too short to spend majority of your time working somewhere you hate just for a paycheck. There are much better options out there for you. If you want to end a relationship or a friendship, again, it does not matter how long you've been with them or your history with them. What matters is that you feel good about it. And if you know you don't feel good about it and you haven't for a while, then it's time for a change. Find somewhere to stay, find support, find your inner strength to make that necessary shift. I promise you can do this. You have no idea the growth that is about to happen once you make a positive change in your life. If you're still struggling with knowing what's the best decision for you, or if you're scared of leaving a bad situation, I want you to ask yourself, what would you tell your best friend if they were in that situation? Or what would you tell your mom or your sister or niece or daughter? Would you want them to be in that situation? If not, why would you let yourself? You are showing them that it's okay to be treated like that or to be unhappy. One of the biggest reasons I left my relationship is because I knew I did not want my future children to be raised with someone with those beliefs and values. I did not want my children seeing their mom unhappy and treated poorly. What would that teach them? I want my future children to know that they deserve the absolute world and to be treated with kindness and respect. I want them to know how they should treat their partner as well. I want them to look at their mom and dad and hope for that kind of love for their future. I have found a partner now that I can 100% say with confidence that he will help me teach our kids that. That is what is important. So if you don't have the self-love yet to do it for yourself, do it for someone you love or care about. Show them that there's a better way. Maybe your relationship is healthy and you're in a career that you love, but there's still something missing in your life. What are you doing outside of that relationship or job that's just for you? Start doing the things that you want to do. For me, it started with getting my nails done. This was something I wasn't able to do before, and it's so small, but it makes me feel so good about myself. Exercising is another thing that makes me happy and obviously keeps me healthy. I love weightlifting, going to the yoga, going for a walk or hiking. Maybe try a few different exercise classes to see what you like. Exercise can positively affect your mental health so much. Finding hobbies you genuinely enjoy doing will have such a huge impact in your life. If all you do is go to work, come home, watch TV, there really isn't much fulfillment there. Even if you're busy, there's always time for hobbies. You just have to prioritize you. If there are things you want to change in your life or something you want to try, you just have to go for it. It does not matter what other people think or what you think they might think. They are not the ones who have to live your life or pay your bills. Their opinion of you is invalid. You have to do what's best for you, and chances are no one actually cares. People are thinking about themselves way more than they think about you. So go after your dream life. I will definitely get into more detail about changing your relationship or career or other factors in your life in other episodes, but I first just wanted to share my story with you and hopefully encourage you to start thinking about what you truly want in life. When I was at my darkest times, it was really hard for me to picture a better future. I really didn't think there would be someone out there that would treat me right or a career out there that I would love and thrive in, but there is better out there. You just have to take the first step and get rid of the toxicity in your life, and you will be amazed at what is presented to you. I still can't believe to this day that I have found true happiness. It can be really hard to believe that there's a brighter future for you, but please trust me, there 100% is, and you deserve it. That's it for today's episode. It would mean so much to me if you would rate and review this podcast and share it with someone you think would benefit from it. If you found this episode helpful or have any questions or want me to dive deeper into anything, please feel free to send me a DM on Instagram at growthroughit.pod, and I will do my best to answer that for you. Thank you so much for listening to my first episode, and remember that you are worthy and capable of so much more than you think. See you next time.